All right, we're going to try that again. How are you all doing this morning?
Ow!
Thank you. Thank you all so much for being here. It is amazing to be here. Thank you, Jeff and Malika, for having me. So I'm going to kick it off with a poem. Is that cool? We down with the poem? This is called Fat. I am not fat. It took me 22 years to purge words onto a page, the same way I purged my body into stomach ulcers, popped eye blood vessels, and missing tooth enamel. 22 years to tell the tale of my bulimic, anorexic, and disordered eating hell, and I've walked barefoot through tiled deserts of bathrooms to find the mirage of my distorted body image staring up at me from the tainted water in the toilet. I used to daydream about freedom. I used to daydream about appreciating the abundance of food around me. I used to daydream about eating dinner without wanting to kill myself. And that, like the society, I wish to heal and explain. I too someday would change. So I've unchained the melody of my dirge-sung soul and patched layers of karmic candle wax to mend the stomach holes. I'm free. Free from sneaking out of algebra and trigonometry to vomit elegantly into a toilet paper-filled toilet during a busy passing period so that no one could hear me. Free from credit cards to pay for wasted food crumpled into white garbage bags in the gutter across the street from my driveway. Free from dry skin and shedding hair, bleeding skin and death scares, because food gave me power to inject order into a world of chaos. Food gave me the love and security I was afraid to find in my sexuality. Food could remedy the abandonment I felt from my father's excessive traveling to make the excessive amounts of money I would vomit in the toilet. But this is not a poem about struggling through thousands of breakfasts, lunches, and dinners when thousands struggle without breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is not a poem about millions of tears as my fear-encrusted fingers lay mangled, shaking, twitching on the bathroom floor with fear and insecurity when millions of children are held captive, shaking with fear and no security. This is not a poem about the guilt of a privileged disorder, because I was often told that I was selfish for an uncontrollable force coaxing me to stick my fingers down my throat. This is a poem about context, about how I can't formulate linguistic inkblots to tangibly articulate the deadly pain that lived inside me, about playing Russian roulette with my esophagus as my gun barrel fingers triggered tragedy down my throat, about self-deprecating stares in the mirror of a red-faced terrorist hijacking my digestive system from within, about how my eyes have learned to make love to the lower left corner of my torso, and the sun sets in the crevices of cellulite in my thunder thighs. This is a poem about the regurgitated traumas that I cannot digest, and at best, this is a poem about how I am not fat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. So, I am a spoken word poet, I'm a freelance journalist, and I'm an eating disorder recovery advocate. And I share my story, which you got in that 2.5-minute synopsis of my poem, Fat, because I believe that when we let go of shame, when we share who we are, when we overcome the fear of being who we are, that's how we heal. That's how we not only heal from eating disorders and other trials and tribulations, but that's how we prevent them. That's how we live in a world where we hold each other so much that we don't have the hands to hurt ourselves or each other. So I was anorexic starting at age 11, and my eating disorder lasted for 10 years until I was 21. Disorder. At one point it was diet pills, and then it was mostly bulimia for about 7 years. I had ulcers in my stomach. I popped a blood vessel in my eye right before my freshman homecoming dance, which did not match my black Nicole Miller dress. And then I was depressed. And in addition to all these struggles during those 10 years with an eating disorder, after the onset of the eating disorder, I had a host of other traumas throw themselves my way. I was sexually molested by one of my classmates in 9th and 10th grade in high school. And then a month into my freshman year of college, I was date raped by a stranger. And then a week later, my brother was hit by a car and killed. So those things don't help what is already an ailing struggle, right? An eating disorder is a mental illness. It's not about looking at a magazine, feeling insecure, and then finding another way to cope with that. Sure, that's part of it. That's a trigger. But it's about something happening. It's about a disconnect between the mind and the body, and also the spirit, I would say. I would argue to say It's about a disconnect with all of those things. So after years and years of therapy and years of what I call an army of experts trying to come and fix me, I realized my junior year of college when I was 21 that I was literally killing myself, that I had a lot to live for. I was at UPenn, an Ivy League school in Philadelphia. I was running tons of organizations, as most type A students do. I had discovered spoken word poetry. I'd been writing and performing my entire life, and finally I had a way to not just do those two things I loved, but talk about those things I cared about, to write a poem like Fat that I shared with you, to write other pieces that could deal with social justice on a host of other topics, not just that affected me, but all of us, right? And why would I not want to love and enjoy all that was around me? Sure, I listed a laundry list of traumas I experienced, but there is so much life out there. There is so much for which to live. And so I literally had this like spiritual awakening night, my junior year, with my best friend, and we sat there on my bedroom floor in West Philadelphia, on the wooden floor, you know, amongst my hippie tapestries. And I laid out my life, and I listed all of the traumas, all of the struggles, but I realized first and foremost, I was jeopardizing my body. And my body, the vessel that gives us permission to touch the world and live in the world, was slowly dying, or even quickly dying. You can rupture your esophagus by making yourself purge, right? So I stopped. I literally, the next day, I decided purging is not an option. And that was it. And for the last 9 years, I have lived my life with purging not being an option. So if purging isn't an option, how do I stay recovered? It was like peeling back layers of an onion, for lack of a better term, right? We gotta go with food. It's a very helpful metaphor, right? So I peeled back the layers. First, I couldn't purge. Then I couldn't binge. Then I had to learn how to stop eating emotionally. Then I had to learn to, first and foremost, which I think is the scariest thing in the world for all of us, I had to sit with my emotions. And now that I know how to sit with my emotions, I can't tell you what a difference the world makes. I actually, not because I had a drinking or drug problem, but I chose that in addition to honoring my body like a temple when I stopped having an eating disorder, to stop drinking and become straight edge. And let me tell you, the spectrum of emotions is intoxicating. Even anxiety. What a gift to actually get to touch it and feel it and sit with it, right? What a gift to actually touch and feel joy instead of covering it up with something else. And so in this journey, I really, really strongly feel, I think feeling and knowing is stronger than believing. I know that when we learn to sit with our feelings, to sit with our emotions, and as I say this, I'm literally like deep breathing into my belly, which amazing author Janine Roth has a whole book about. I'm just like breathing into my belly, and I'm feeling in my power center. When we sit with our emotions, we can do anything. And then we stop hurting ourselves, and then we stop hurting each other. And when we have that love, we can change the world. All of the things that everyone is talking about yesterday and today, everything everyone's saying, my brain and my body and my spirit are exploding with gratitude and joy for everything we're all educating each other on. We can take that in. And not every diet, and I don't mean diet the verb, I mean diet the noun, is right for each person, right? Some of us have actual health needs that we can't eat certain foods, or we need to eat more of others. But until we center with ourselves, we don't get to listen to our body tell us what diet is right for us, what movement is right for us, what people are right for us, what career is right, what environment we should be in. We don't take the time to sit. And so with that, I hope that you will find ways to discover your core and nurture it. That's what I like to say, the meaning of life. Discover your core and nurture it and find your core. Letting go of the fear. I believe we can change, I know we can heal this world when we let go of shame. Thank you all so much for having me. It's an honor and privilege to be with you all. Thank you.